here at the corner of Artemis Street and Rova Ave, where a artillery strike by the Kiev regime just rocked this intersection. I was about 100 meters away at the time, and as you can see, the devastation is incredible. This is a normal occurrence for the people of Donbass, the people of Donetsk. They are living under this threat every day, and I just got a taste myself. I watched a massive explosion rock this corner, huge ball of sparks and flames here at my hotel. Shrapnel from the explosions shattered several windows, and that was pretty lucky. I feel pretty lucky right now. If I'd have been 30 seconds, a minute faster to get back to my hotel, I was walking back from a restaurant. If I'd been just a few seconds faster, I would have been killed. It's hard to describe this as anything other than terror tactics. This is fascism in action, and it's why so many people here are deeply appreciative of Russian Federation forces, for finally acting to put an end to this madness that's been happening for 8 years. 8 years of living with this.
Welcome to another episode of the Nick and CJ Show. I'm one of your hosts. I'm CJ. What's up, Nick?
What's poppin', my friends, my family? We are back. This is gonna be a great show. This may be a longer one, CJ.
Yeah.
And make sure you guys. First thing I want to say, and we're gonna introduce our amazing guest, Wyatt. As you guys see, doing amazing on-the-ground journalism in Ukraine, exposing the Western lies. But first, keep me honest. Let me know how in chat how the sound is. As you guys see, our community came through. You guys know I had a ghetto sound for quite a bit. Let me know how it sounds. You guys can finally hear the bass of my voice. I'm playing. Oh, hold on. Let's blow this man follows up. Because this is the comrade right here. I just want to start with a big shout out because we're a proletariat network. we live tough and rough around the margins. So I don't got the greatest background. I don't got the greatest mic there is. So this comrade helped us out. And it's gonna help us out a lot because the production is gonna be much better. Like, what does fucking gain and pattern mean? Like, what the fuck is gain?
You just know up and down, volume up, volume down.
I see volume up and mute, and I see a bunch of other buttons on. I don't know what that does, but big shout out. Try this man to follow, man, because he's helping out RB and helping out our network. We don't ask for you guys a lot. It's mostly just you guys showing solidarity. So I just want to start out with stream. Much love to Rezwan. I don't want to say your name wrong. You guys see his Twitter. Drop them a follow. But I'll pass to you, CJ.
Yeah, he's been great. We've been following each other for at least maybe a year. Just retweeting his stuff, retweeting my stuff. So he hit me up. I was like, hey, heard you guys might need a mic. Let Nick know. So that's just great. Love the community. Let's get to Wyatt in just a second, but let's get through the announcements, like the video. We're just getting started, but if you're here, please like the video. So let's get to like 150 likes. We got 175 watching right now. Join the Substack if you want to get notifications for streams just like this. If you're watching it on replay and you're like, man, I wish I was there to talk to see Wyatt in person, to hear this in person, or hear this live, I should say. Just join our Substack and you'll be able to do that. I'm going to pass it to you, Nick, as I throw up comments, but we need to jump right into the story. I'll let you introduce Wyatt Reed.
It's always good to talk to our next guest, an independent journalist, a great writer, a great reporter, and second time you've been on RBN. Thank you for joining us. I think third time. Thank you for joining us once again, Wyatt.
Oh, let me.
There we go. Thanks so much for having me. It's always a pleasure to be on with y'all.
Yeah, we started off with your reporting because Wyatt, because he had the audacity of telling the truth about the West proxy war against Russia. Ukraine put him on a kill list, and then your hotel was shelled. I want to pass it to Wyatt because you can explain the situation obviously better than I can. What the hell is going on? Are you safe?
I'm as safe as I can be, as anyone can be in Donetsk. I don't think really there is such a thing as safe here. As you saw, just hours after I arrived, 2 weeks after being placed on the Ukrainian government's official kill list called Mirotvorets, that means peacemaker, in a very dystopian sort of turn of phrase. I was, as you noted, for the crime of journalism, for the crime of coming down here and telling people stories, what they called collaboration with Russian fascists, and what they described as occupation or of presence in an occupied territory. I was placed on this kill list. 12 journalists, I should say, who have been placed on this list have been killed. And when that happens, their photos on this website, because they put up photos of me, they put up photos of everyone on there. They're marked over in big red letters that say liquidated in Ukrainian. So the latest to have this happen to them was Daria Dugina, the Russian nationalist thinker, Alexander Dugin. His daughter was killed in a car bombing in Moscow that was carried out, according to the United States government, by the Kiev regime. So this she was the latest victim, the latest person who was placed on this list to be killed. Hundreds of children are on this list. People like Roger Waters, Pink Floyd guitarist and songwriter are on this list. Thousands of people are on it. And yet there is no outrage in the West about this anymore. After February, it seems like all bets are off. The kind of outdated concepts of freedom of speech, freedom of expression, freedom of movement, all of these apparently now are as expendable in their eyes as Ukrainian lives. So what happened was within 2 hours of arriving here at this hotel in Donetsk, I went out and, as I explained in the video, on my return, about an hour, maybe half an hour after communicating my location on WhatsApp, which is obviously a service that's owned by Facebook. Facebook is staffed with high-level ex-CIA and ex-FBI officials, filled to the brim with them. I was returning from my from the restaurant, walking back directly towards my hotel, and in front of me I watched, it looked like the most terrifying firework I've ever seen. I just screamed out holy shit and hit the deck and pulled out my phone and started recording. And you saw my report from a few minutes after that. There was another video that I published of just that it started recording about 5 seconds after, and you can hear glass rains down all around me. I'm stepping over this crunchy glass. Car alarms are blaring, and basically, it was huge shockwave. It was absolutely terrifying. I found out later that we were hit with a 155 millimeter shell, which is NATO. That's NATO. So that's our government's little present to me, was an attempt on my life. And it's hard to say for sure whether it was me personally being targeted or whether it was just all journalists being targeted, because this is a hotel that's known to be frequented by international journalists. This is the third time in 2 months they've hit the same block. It's obviously an act of intimidation. They don't want to just intimidate and terrify the citizens of Donetsk, but they also want to terrify anybody who might come to tell their story.
I was just about to add, and I'll pass right back to you. I think the same reason why you see Israel target journalists in occupied Gaza, because they don't want any journalists like, damn, I don't want to be the next Serena Doakla. So I do think it's on purpose. So people like, I don't want to be the next Wyatt Reed to be out on the front line debunking the mainstream narrative on this issue. But you also see the West cheering for terrorism. And Amnesty International came out with this report. I'll pull it up just so you guys can see what I'm referring to, how the Ukraine government was caught putting civilians in danger. And they've been shelling civilians in Ukraine, and there have been a media blackout in the West. They've been killing whenever they seize land over Russia. What do you guys think they've been doing to the civilians? There have been reports of them killing civilians who they view as being pro-Russian. These are war crimes that the West, not only do they look up the other way, I see liberals say stuff like, yeah, of course they would do that. The pro-Russian scum should die. There's a crazy psychosis that's going on, but why do you want to speak more on that?
Absolutely. I mean, you just have to look into my mentions on Twitter and you'll see this. People wishing me death openly, hoping for me in just the most gruesome sort of terms. And Twitter does nothing because now you're allowed to wish death on Russian people and Russian sympathizers. It's apparently perfectly acceptable. You know, the countries that talk all the time about human rights and this XYZ country is authoritarian because it's not respecting human rights. Well, they turn around and they do stuff like this and nobody seems to bat an eye. So today, you know, when you're talking about the people that are being killed because they're labeled Russian collaborators, well, I got a chance to go out close to the front lines today. I went over up to Severodonetsk and out to a town called Rubizhnya, where we went to a school and we got a chance to see how it's operating. Basically, they don't have in-person classes. They have children come and kind of pick up their materials, or their parents will come pick up their materials, bring them back. And part of the reason they do this is because last month, basically 2 weeks ago, one of the schools in this region was hit by 6 HIMARS rockets. And so I got a chance to go to that school afterwards and inspect for myself the rubble of this former school, which is now just concrete and wreckage. Pick through some pieces, seeing, you know, textbooks just covered in soot and dust, just a totally uninhabitable building now. And so while speaking to people around there to ask them, you know, what is this like? Well, first of all, I should say when we talk to the teachers, we wanted to get a sense for what is it like to teach, knowing that you will have been labeled collaborators, right? Last month, Alexei Arestovich, who's a top advisor to Zelensky, said that the aunts and uncles who come to the occupied territories to teach our children Russian will be punished. They will be held accountable. And, you know, you can see exactly what that means if you've seen these videos in recent days of bodies being dropped into mass graves by an Azov leader, the Nazi regiment, one of the official Nazi regiments of the Ukrainian forces, the Azov battalion. They posted a video and they said Russian collaborators will be punished. And then they edited the Telegram post shortly thereafter to say, oh, we actually took this video off of a dead Russian soldier, you know, trying to switch it up, trying to, you know, be coy, whatever. But there are so many videos of them. You know, I posted just the other day a video of another volunteer detachment commander who posted, who explained in a video that in front of a camera, right, a whole camera crew with the Ukrainian so-called media, they asked him about people who uploaded videos of Ukrainian rockets or rocket strikes. They called them fire spotters. And they said, we have many such cases of people like this, and they keep disappearing over and over again. And in fact, it'll be necessary when all this is over to take a census to find out exactly how many it was. We don't have time to take them to jail. We have no idea. There are so many of these people that are being disappeared that we lost track of how many. And this obviously, I mean, can you imagine if like Russian TV uploaded an interview like that with like a DPR commander or a Russian commander explaining this kind of stuff?
Anyone the West hated did that.
Yeah, it would be constantly, nonstop for weeks. We would be seeing this stuff on CNN. And so this was my first stop of the day. Then after that, we went to inspect this other school, which was just totally obliterated by U.S. manufactured HIMARS missiles. And when we're there, we wanted to go talk to people who had witnessed this. And so we ended up speaking with a couple with one woman. She said, obviously, it was the Ukrainians. I explained, she said that this had happened during the referendums because people had been collecting ballots at this school. So they just decided to destroy it with 6 HIMARS missiles. And I asked her about the referendum, and she said, yeah, it was amazing. We've been waiting for this for so long, for nearly 9 years. And then I asked her, in the West, did we hear that people are being forced to vote at gunpoint? Were you forced to vote at gunpoint? And she laughed. She said, of course not. That's totally absurd. Who comes up with this stuff? That was the attitude. And so then we went, walked another 20 meters away, and we spoke to an old woman. She was 68, named Natalia. She's the only one left living in this apartment. Directly outside of her apartment, another HIMARS missile struck, left a crater, probably 20 feet wide, 10 feet deep, just unreal destruction. It totally leveled the entire apartment. Her apartment, when we went inside, was just unlivable. One room has been, all the windows are totally blown out everywhere. It's just glass everywhere, dust, dirt. Obviously she can't cook, she can't feed herself. So we said, she broke down crying when she's just explaining to us what she's gone through. She was injured, she couldn't walk, so she had a cane, and she said, we said, well, who did this? And she said, those cursed fascists did this to us. Obviously the Ukrainians did this to us. And we said, can we do anything to help you? She said, well, I haven't eaten, I need help getting to the humanitarian aid a location. And my documents were all destroyed in this explosion. So, I'm having trouble explaining who I am. And so we went down to the humanitarian aid office. We explained the situation. We got some bread for her. We went and picked up some more supplies, sausages, and we got her some cigarettes. We got her, just whatever we could to try to make her life a little bit more bearable. And we went back and we talked to her, and she told us a little bit more about what it's like living here. She said, my children, I don't know where they are. I know my daughter is in Kiev somewhere. They have no way of getting in touch with me. I don't have a phone. There's no phone service out here anymore. No real basic services. And she said that she looks up at their pictures at night, and she asks them to look down at what our life has become. And, I broke down crying. It was like crying for like an hour on the way back. It's just like a horrifying scene. And I just really felt kind of powerless to be able to help her. And we asked her, like, what do you feel about the Americans that have, what do you feel about Americans, like, that they've done this to you? And she said they must have no heart. They must just be beasts, because how else could they do this to me? And, I want it on some level. It's like, well, I want to tell you I have a heart, but how could she possibly, believe me? How could I possibly explain that to her, that, not all of us wish death on Russian people just for wanting to exist and survive and not be subjugated by this fascist regime. And I should say, before I finish, that when we were talking to the teachers, we wanted to know what it was like teaching there after this fascist coup in 2014 that the U.S. government backed all the way. And she said, this is Obama years, obviously. And she said that, well, they basically made us rewrite the entire sections on World War II, which, Russian people describe as the Great Patriotic War. So they come up with the new name, kind of the Western name. They call it the Second World War now. And then they retell this entire thing where suddenly the UPA, the Ukrainian nationalists are the heroes. These people that went out and slaughtered, at least 100,000 Jews. They openly and gleefully participated in pogroms, to the point where the Germans, when they came in, they were so impressed by this that they honestly had to kind of tell them to pump the brakes sometimes. He said, wow, we've never seen this level of anti-Semitism before. And that has been totally disappeared from the curriculum in the Ukrainian thing. All of a sudden, they had to teach that these UPA leaders were the good guys and that they were on the right side of history and that they helped fight the Nazis too. It's Holocaust denial, it's Holocaust revisionism, and this was something that they were required to teach or lose their job. So that's kind of the atmosphere that exists in Ukraine. That's what living in Ukraine means for teachers and for all these women. These teachers that I talked to, all of them described that our grandfathers fought in this war. We know the truth, and we're being forced to tell these children lies about the Holocaust, about Second World War, just to make these nationalists look good and not look like the real killers and vermin that they actually are.
History is written by the winners, ladies and gentlemen. Are we gonna let them rewrite history? Are we gonna? This is why I got into the media sphere, so we can have just another voice debunking this, because they would change history in the quickness to justify their wars. One last thing I want to ask you about, bring to your attention, because I know you're pretty short on time, and I want to get Jose in here as well, because you talked to this person who was cursing the Americans, and this is why I stand and I have the position I do, because I actually stand for the Ukrainian people, the people that was shelled by the neo-Nazi Azov battalion, and the people that think they are supporting the Ukrainians by supporting the neocons that are supporting this proxy war. They could not be mistaken more. They are the people who are putting Ukrainian lives at risk. We, the people who call out NATO in the West for escalating this conflict, and the people who have a memory that go farther back than 2020, we are the people who care about the Ukrainians. Are we clear? Because this is the position of the West. The victory of Russia in the conflict of Ukraine will be the defeat of NATO. This cannot be allowed. NATO Secretary Jens Stoltenberg. So they are willing to sacrifice as many Ukrainians as possible just so they can deliver Vladimir Putin a geopolitical L, and so NATO can have continual expansion. Why is so many people that consider themselves left of center getting this wrong? But Wyatt, do you want to speak on that? And then I will introduce Jose after that. Wyatt, do you have anything else you want to speak on before we add our next guest in here?
Yeah, well, I mean, the idea that this is that NATO expansion is at the root of this is not. I want to say it's not. It's not Russian propaganda, right? It's actually the opposite. It's truth, and it's historical truth. It's something that you don't have to be pro-Russian to understand. Really, if you listen to any of the strategic thinkers in the West over the past 2 or 3 decades, you can read from people like George Kennan, who was basically one of the greatest, U.S. strategists of all time. He said NATO expansion in 1998 was a tragic mistake that would provoke a bad reaction from Russia. We have Henry Kissinger, obviously not a good man, obviously not a man who is interested in constraining U.S. power projection in any serious way, the opposite. But he said that to Russia, Ukraine can never just be a foreign country, and the West should therefore pursue a policy of reconciliation. And he said Ukraine should not join NATO. We have Jack Matlock, who was the U.S. ambassador to the Soviet Union in the late 80s. This is Reagan years, right? Who said that NATO expansion was the most profound strategic blunder, which would encourage a chain of events that could produce the most serious security threat since the collapse of the USSR. Clinton Defense Secretary William Perry, who said that the NATO enlargement is the cause of the rupture in relations with Russia, and he was so adamantly opposed to it that in 1996 he said that in the strength of my conviction, I considered resigning. This is not Russian propaganda. This is historical truth. This is historical context. And if you ever want to have any chance at a peaceful resolution to the hostilities right here, then you need to understand it and take it seriously and not mock it.
There's so many people that do not understand the stakes. Do you want a future for your kids? Do you guys want a future for your niece or nephews? All this other fighting means nothing if there's a global nuclear war. If World War III happens. And if you find yourself not really concerned about this, then you need to check your privilege, because there are people that are already suffering in the global south because of food shortages, the energy crisis in Europe. This already affecting the global working class, and it's only going to get worse based on the direction that the United States is taking us. This is the direction that the progressives are complicit with. This is why RBN, we are holding these people accountable. I'm glad we got people like Jose Vega holding these people accountable. And we're gonna introduce our next guest, Jose. We're gonna get. I know why we gotta get you out of here, but I want to introduce Jose because he had a great video where he called out AOC, and we're gonna show that here very soon. But before we get to that, Jose, welcome to RBN. Is it Jose or Jose? Am I saying,
it's Jose.
Jose. Okay, I thought it was. I was gonna make sure I got that correct.
Yeah.
Welcome to RBN.
What's up, Jose?
Not much, just hearing the boogie down, and
Yeah,
Word, bro. Word, brother. Go ahead, Nick.
yeah, you have much to say because I'm very interested to get your general thoughts about the Ukraine situation as well, because you called out AOC to her face, and there are people liberals are in shambles. I don't know if you guys saw, AOC just gave her response, which was bullshit. You had Mehdi Hassan came out. I'm gonna show you guys this. I literally seen it just now.
I didn't know she came out with a response.
People sending me this stuff.
Well, let's just say bye to Wyatt because he had to drop out. I didn't drop him out. He dropped. So just Wyatt, if you're watching, thanks for joining. Thanks for telling your story. Ukraine kill list. That was crazy. Go ahead, Nick.
Yeah, we appreciate Wyatt for coming on. I see you got the video queued up, CJ. Do you want to play the? Maybe he dropped out. Maybe he dropped out. Sorry, maybe his phone or something died. Yeah, let's give Wyatt a chance to have an exit. Wyatt, where can they find you? Anything else you want to promote? Any last words on the topic? Anything you want to add before we pop you out of here?
Oh man, it looks like his internet might have gone out or something.
Oh wow,
which is a shame because Wyatt's colleague Ava Bartlett was on our conference speaking about the Ukrainian.
Sorry, internet is tough here.
Okay, well, we heard that part. Internet is tough here, and then it froze again. I don't know if you can hear us. Yeah, it went completely out.
Why we be patient. Take your time. We
whenever you get back, we'll go ahead and give you the proper ending here.
Yeah,
go ahead.
But go ahead, Jose. I know this is kind of non-conventional, but hopefully we Wyatt back in here. But if not, I know Wyatt. I know you're busy as well. If you got to head out, feel free to do that as well. Wyatt, we appreciate you joining.
Well, let's start here, Nick.
Yeah,
let's start here. So, Jose, first, before we get into what happened, tell us who you are. If you're part of some organization or if you're just doing this on yourself, what made you? Because this is not your first calling out a squad member, because Jamal Bowman, we covered your video on that also. So
it's actually,
go ahead.
I also called out Kamala Harris like almost a year ago today. I think it was October of 2021. My name is Jose Vega, as you can see here, and I am a part of an organization. I'm part of the LaRouche organization. I'm a Schiller Institute activist. That's a name that has a lot of controversy. You say that, and like Nick, you turn your camera off because you don't want to be on. No, I know.
Yeah.
I've been an activist since I was about 15 years old. I would come around, and I think one of the things that really actually got me rapidly politicized was not even just the state of the world, which that can politicize anybody if you start seeing that. There's this thing I posted on my Twitter about an interaction I had with AOC. When in 2018, I was living in Morris Heights in the Bronx, and my apartment, the ceiling just kind of caved in, and sewage water was coming in. It was a basement apartment, and it was sewage water that was pooling up in the ceiling, and it all just crashed down. And it was pooling like that for a few days, and our toilet didn't work. It was horrible. And I went to my councilman, as you're supposed to do. I brought the media in. I did everything. The councilman told me, hey, listen, you're talking about wanting to solve this for everybody. Let's just focus on you. You're the one in front of me. And I said, hey, listen, let's think about the people who are in your district who don't speak English, who are probably going through the same thing. And he said, yeah, but that's a bigger problem that we can't really solve. And I said, nah, man, listen, we could probably do something big here. I'm going to sue the landlord, and then we're going to figure out how to do this for the city. The next
Uh-oh. Did he drop
Man,
out?
bro, Twitter took him
Alright.
out.
Hi, sorry.
Oh, there you go.
I
No,
was terrified,
he clicked
man.
something. He clicked something.
That was my fault. Yeah. Yeah. No. So I basically, so I was like, what the fuck, who do I go to? Because the next day, the councilman and his chief of staff told me, yeah, just drop this whole thing. Like, let's just say somebody came up to you with $10,000 to let the whole apartment thing go. Would you let it go? I said no, because we have nowhere to go. We were homeless. So at the time, AOC had won her primary. And in New York, and in states like New York, which are like, big blue states, winning the primary means you're going to win the general election, right? Because she had just beat Joe Crowley, and people don't vote Republican here, right? And so it was just like, okay. And so I was like, listen, I need your help. And I put the email out on my Twitter, like, I need your help, because I don't know what to do. I didn't get anything back from her. And like a few weeks later, we were homeless for like a month or two. So yeah. And that's that.
When you say we, who are you saying when you say we were homeless?
It was myself and my mother and my grandfather. And so, the three of us lived in this 2-bedroom basement apartment. And then when we were homeless, I moved in with my sister, and my mom and grandfather moved in with my uncle until we could kind of like figure out what the hell we were going to do next. And then the three of us lived in like a 1-bedroom apartment for a year until where we are now with a 2-bedroom apartment.
So capitalism, I don't know if you heard it, Nick, in our audience, capitalism touched 3 generations there. Yeah. 3 generations it put out on the streets.
These stories are
just understand that. Go ahead.
I was just saying these stories are becoming way too common. Like, once again, I house people that otherwise would be homeless. You say you had to stay with a relative. That means they are homeless, capitalists. Do you guys understand? They do not have a home, and that is the result of this failed system, this failed central planning model. And the people who are okay, the people who have healthcare, the people who don't have a sense of urgency, they're not the ones who calling out the politicians. There are the people, and I see them already. These people are disgusting. There are people already digging up Jose, trying to find Oppo research on Jose.
I saw that.
So people's first reaction, I don't want to pull it up because I don't want to show it. People be like, hey, Nick, you see what this person said? Well, y'all like, man, don't show me that shit. I don't care. So I'm not going to pull it up. But there are people always coming up showing like, oh, you said Jose tweeted, Jose part of this. He associated with this person. Imagine the kind of bootlicking punk you have to be to see an activist call out a politician. And your first reaction is, let's find some oppo on that activist.
Sure.
Let's see that activist got the same political alignment as me. That is the AOC
and also it's funny because do they think that negates what AOC did? You know how we do it here, yep. Jose. We can do it either way. So let's go how you saying. Let's say he's all of what you saying. How does that change anything he said about AOC?
Exactly. That's my point.
Doesn't change anything about it. So let's talk about Jose after we talk about AOC. So let's get back on AOC. Go ahead, Jose.
And I'd be happy to address any old tweets. I mean, I've had the account since 2014. So I was 16 years old when I had this fucking Twitter account. So think about it. I'm sure
there are so they're pulling up tweets when he was like 17 and shit, and they think they're winning.
These bastard actors do this all the time. They will see me criticize Bernie, and they were like, "Hey, do you remember you organized with Bernie?" Like, yeah, that was years ago. This motherfucker dressed all crazy now. But anyway, I think that would be a good time to get in the video.
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead.
For people who don't know what we're talking about, this is our pal Jose. Speaking truth to power, and we see this happen with Jamal Bowman. We need to see this all the time. I'm going to call out Emmanuel Cleaver. I need to talk to Jose for how you coordinate these things. We need to see politicians all over the country called out like this. Yeah. But let's play the clip and we get Jose's reaction when it's done.
Congresswoman, none of this matters unless there's a nuclear war, which you voted to send arms and weapons to Ukraine. Tulsi Gabbard, she's left the Democratic Party because there are a bunch of war hawks. Okay, you originally voted, you ran as an outsider, yet you've been voting to start this war in Ukraine. You're voting to start a thermonuclear war with Russia and China. Why are you playing with the lives of American American citizens. You're playing with our lives.
There will be no neighbors if there's a nuclear bomb. You voted to mobilize and send money to Ukrainian Nazis. You're a coward. You're a progressive socialist. Where are you against the war mobilization? He's telling the right truth. You have done nothing. Tulsi Gabbard has shown guts where you've shown cowardice. I believed in you, and you became the very thing you sought to fight against. That's what you've become. You are the establishment, and you are the reason why everybody will end up in a nuclear war unless you choose to stand up right now and denounce the Democratic Party. Will you do that? Yes or no? Okay, simple. Are you going to stop nuclear war? Yes or no? There is no line because this is bullshit. None of this matters if we're all dead. None of it. You know that. Then let's take it up right now because this is the only thing that matters. This is the only thing that matters right now. We could be in a nuclear war at any minute and you continue to fund it. That's what's going on. Why not right now? You're the liar here. Nobody has held you accountable. That's what's happening. And it is time for you to stand up and realize that what you've been saying has been lies. Let your conscience come through for once.
You see she's trying to bring in a civility. You see how civility politics is used? Oh, because you're out of line. So you're talking about fucking nuclear war, the existence of humanity, and she's saying you out of line. Really?
CJ, I told you we was ahead of the curve because we warned people about civility politics. Look at our library. Look, months ago, RBN would lean on this. We was telling you guys how civility politics is used as a weapon against activists, the working class, and the poor. Do the establishment have civility towards us? Look at how the police treats us. Do they have civility towards us? Look at how our military treats their enemies. Do they have civility? No, civility politics is a weapon that they use to shackle us. And that's what LC did there. And there's so much to say there, but I want to get Jose in there because you did amazing work there. That's great stuff, Jose.
Yeah, I had just heard about it happening that morning. I think I got an email from her, team saying, "Hey, we're gonna have a town hall, and if you're a constituent, jump on in." And I was like, "Okay, I will." So I got two of my friends, and I was like, "Let's go, let's do this." Now, the interesting thing that happened there is that we weren't the only people there to heckle her. There were Republicans there who were wearing MAGA hats, and they were wearing Tina Forte shirts, which is her Republican opponent. I'm not really a fan of Republicans, period. And Tina Forte, I'm not a big fan of her, but whatever, I'm not. It's not my district either, so it's not really my race to kind of decide who should be in that district. I just know what AOC is doing. Anyway, what myself and Kynan, the other guy who did the intervention, we said, let's wait for her to finish her presentation. Because if we interrupt her now, she has a script to go back to, and she can pretend like she didn't hear it. But when she got to immigration, the Republicans, said, "Are you going to close the border or not? What are you going to do about it? You letting them all in, blah, 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 blah." And then she got into gun control, gun control. Oh my God, it's the Second Amendment, right, blah, 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 blah. It's like, all right, well, listen, like these are issues that can be taken up, but like, we got to bring this up another level, right? Like there's a real issue going on right now. It doesn't matter whether you're left or right. It's the fact that there's a fucking war going on, and we're all going to be blown to bits right now if she's not held accountable for her actions. And so my friend Kynan, he goes first. He just says, Congresswoman, and he does his thing. And then I do my thing. And then the guy you see coming up was one of these Republican people who came to kind of support me. And I cut it there because basically he says, listen, they're going to kick you out if you're not quiet. You got to sit down. Listen, I agree with what you're saying. I support what you're saying. And then some big buff security guy comes up. He's like, you got to go. You got to go. You're taking up too much time. You got to go. And then the guy was like, no. If he promises to sit down and be quiet, can he stay? No, you got to go. Come on, buddy.
How's that country with free speech? I'm asking you guys that question.
Yeah, that's
Did y'all-
AOC. AOC. If you don't think AOC said that guy cannot be here, or couldn't AOC say no? He stays. AOC is the one who got you kicked out. She's the one that said he has to go.
And the other reason why we weren't trying to wait for like a microphone is because there was no microphone. I mean, you had to write your question beforehand, right? So like they said, like, okay, write your question down, and then we'll hand it over to the congresswoman. I was like, okay, that's bullshit. That's already.
Why did they need that?
Screening question.
Jesus fucking Christ.
AOC knows exactly. AOC knows exactly what's going on. She knows she's terrible. She knows she's not the person she promised to be. She knows that. That's why she is trying to create this buffer between her and real activists like you and us. That's why she doesn't want to hear us. She understands she is terrible. Go ahead, Jose. I just have to insert that. Go ahead, Jose.
No, I mean, I think you're right. And I mean, these people like Bowman and AOC, Rashida, the squad, I happen to think that they are impotent because I like to think the best of people, right? And, I believe in the idea that Martin Luther King Jr. used to talk about, the agapic love, right? That you have to have the strength to love. Okay. If that is the case, how can you crack through to these people? Well, for one, I think you have to kind of remind them in their conscience and in their minds a time when they decided to get into politics where they said, there was a reason why I decided to get in here, and I didn't come in here with the intention of getting corrupted, right? There was a time when they probably were radical. There was a time when they maybe actually did care about something. Is there a way to shake that back into their minds for a second so they're confronted with their conscience of that ghost of who they used to be? And that's what I try to do when I say at the end, unless you take a stand right now, as if I'm kind of giving her this out of like, you could do something redeeming right now if you just denounce the party and say, listen, we can't keep doing this. But she chose to feign as if she couldn't hear it.
She's a coward. And before I move on to the next part of this, I want to give a shout out to Wyatt Reed, our previous guest. He texted me. He said, congratulations to Jose. He apologized for dropping out because internet connection. Thanks for having me on. So we appreciate you, Wyatt. He would just have internet connection issues at the end, and he wanted to congratulate you, Jose, and because he wanted to say we appreciate you speaking truth to power to AOC. And there's consequences to that as well, because this is breaking. What is this? What is this merging of big tech and the government? So they were designed to protect the politicians. So we just watched the video of Jose calling out AOC.
Yeah.
How did that break Twitter rules? So Jose was suspended after his viral tweet calling out AOC.
Yeah, the thing was they wanted me to delete one tweet, and it was a tweet that I made back when AOC did the Green New Deal thing. There was a tweet that I made. It was just a picture of a baby, and it just said Green New Meal. Because remember the activists who did the thing where they went to her town hall and they said we have to eat the babies?
Yeah, I vaguely remember that.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So it basically was just like this. There was this woman who said, I'm very afraid of climate change. I feel like, we need to do something drastic. What if we all ate the babies? Like, what if we just started eating the babies as a way to, and so that freaked out AOC. And so I made a meme called the Green New Meal. And it was just a baby with the caption Green New Meal. Like,
when was this?
It was 2018, I think, or 2019.
Bro, so you did this and they searched your whole history.
Yeah, they reported everything. And so Twitter said, "Oh, this violates the rules. You have to delete this."
You were like 17 years old.
Yeah, so Twitter said you have to delete this if you want access to your account again. And I was like, yeah, I mean, it's a dumb meme, whatever. I'll delete it. And then they're like, okay, 12 hours timeout. I'm like, what the fuck? I complied with what you wanted. How was I supposed to know posting this, years ago that
I know
if you think that this is because of that and it's not because of AOC, the police state does this all the time. Oh, your tail light is out. Yeah, okay. Yeah, my tail light is out. It's the daytime. Go ahead.
I know why they did this. Think about this, because Mehdi Hassan is commenting on this. This has went mega viral. Everyone from blue check, right wing, left wing, everyone commentating on this now. So they don't want him online while this is hot right now. They don't want him making any comments. They don't want him to be able to post. So they're like, let's find anything to take him off. Because news cycle is really fast. It's going to be out of news cycle maybe in 3 days.
Yeah,
left media,
that is it.
No, left wing media is probably going to talk about this a long time. Don't get it twisted. But right wing media, they're unserious.
Yeah.
And Democrat media, they're not going to pay attention to that after 3 days. So they wanted to ban Jose now while this story is hot.
Right.
And they were like,
pretty much any tweet that you would have sent that could have had the ability of really going viral if you kept commenting on this, and let's say she replied and then you reply, you get what I'm saying? Like, so they're like, no, we can't have this. So let's go ahead and find something somewhere. The police do this all the time. Let's find something. It's like, for example, if you go and sit in the poorest neighborhood, which you call the hood, and you go, I'm going to pull over 10 cars. Do you know one of those cars, the likelihood of one of those cars not having something up-to-date registration because they're poor? You know that, right? So it's the likelihood. They're just taking a chance to see. So it's the same thing. It's pretty
This
disgusting.
is why.
Go ahead.
And Jose, I don't know if you saw this.
I didn't know.
Respond.
Yeah, you kept saying.
And this is why, because AOC responded as well, and they didn't want Jose to be able to respond. But I'm gonna go in order here.
That's weak. That is so weak, man. They didn't want him to say nothing. That is so weak.
Yeah, that's what it's for. It's like, can't respond to her and call her. Like, she's saying, I saw the comment there. It said I was speaking over a deaf person. That's
I'm gonna get to it, Jose. I'm gonna read it, and I'm gonna read it out, and I'll get your response to it, just so people know what's going on, because not everyone see it yet. So this is Mehdi Hassan, and I already seen vaguely in preparation of this segment, the shit-limp army, because how viral this is, they send them out like this one video alone, 4.6 million views, and it's like it's all over Twitter.
What? Because when I saw it was 3 million views, and it got 1 million views in like 2 or 3 hours. I see videos
everywhere like this, man. All of them with,
and they're probably suppressing it. It probably has more than that. They're probably suppressing it.
So now they got to send the pro-war shit-lib army out to defend AOC and smear the activists. You guys think I was making this up?
Yeah.
They sent Mehdi Hassan, the millionaire.
You gotta
cable news host guy.
Right. I'm like, who he
and
is.
It says, this is one of the dumbest things I've ever seen. And I'll let you respond here soon, Jose.
What?
Screaming hysterically about opposing war while praising Tulsi Gabbard, avoiding any mention of Putin, and blaming AOC. Embarrassing. Then he said,
when he said Tulsi Gabbard, I told my wife that's gonna be their out right there.
Yeah, because
they're gonna say Tulsi Gabbard, motherfucker. What did AOC do? What does that have to do with AOC? Let's say like you said, what do we say here, Nick? We could do it either way you want. Okay, you're saying Tulsi Gabbard is all of this and all of that. Okay. You scored a point. Now let's get back to AOC and these votes that he's talking about. You still not addressing that. It's the same thing when they bring up Assange. Oh, he's this. Address what he got out.
Exactly. And Mehdi did not address any of that. And I know you chomping at the bit, Jose. I just want to present it so the audience know what's going on. This is Mehdi's second tweet. One protester accused AOC of voting to start this war in Ukraine. Really, AOC, in addition to being a New York rep. See, this is why they banned you, so you can't clarify. Yeah. They already twisting the story. Now, I'm gonna get to AOC's tweet. I know you want to comment on that. So this is Mehdi going after you. God know who else have chimed in since
before you go to AOC's tweet, though, just like I've heard of Mehdi's name. Who is he?
He's the new big name in media.
Let me not say that. Let me not say that.
Like he's a big MSNBC guy.
And he's a cosplaying leftist. He's a cosplaying leftist. He's one of these. I'm going to critique the Democratic Party, but I'm going to go ahead and keep supporting him. It's like Marianne Williamson. He's like the David Sorotas. He has left wing chops, left wing street cred.
And the professional managerial class loves him.
But he's a neocon. Yeah,
they love them.
They love them. This is Jacobin, DS national DSA type shit.
They're like, yo, we got one good one. Yeah. They're like, we got one good one on MSNBC. Mehdi Hassan.
Yeah, and they're gonna blow that shit up, and you know the algorithm's gonna blow his tweet up, and all the bots are gonna come. So it'd be like, yeah, he won. No, motherfucker, address what happened with AOC, the voting. Go ahead, Nick.
And that's why I said, are you going to address the criticism? It's already blown up. Hopefully I get a ratio. I really hope I get that ratio, bro. That'd be great. But anyway, this is AOC's tweet. The worst part, which of course they cut from the clip, and I know you're trying to be to reply to this, Jose, because they're cowards and they banned you, so you couldn't. Is the fact that they were yelling over a deaf constituent asking a question and continue to do so. It was made clear to. This is her response. Jose, go ahead. I'm gonna shut up. This is crazy.
You can actually go into the town hall to the point where I intervene. The question she's responding to was not to a live person there who was deaf, but to an email that came in from someone. So, and the person.
You see why they don't want you on to reply? Because you would clarify that. You see? Go ahead.
Yeah.
Hey, we need everyone watching this to respond. Hey, listen to what Jose says right now.
Please, and go and respond with this.
Yeah.
Clip this video. Clip this video. Screenshot your fucking phone and put this up there so she can see the bullshit she's laying out.
Well,
go ahead, Jose. Clip it right now. Go ahead, Jose.
If you don't believe me, just go into her town hall that she live streamed. Go to about like 49 minutes or so. The assistant who's reading the question says, "We just got an email that came in from a deaf constituent," and then that's at the point where we start the intervention because it wasn't.
You see how she's using that? Who is AOC? You see how she's using that? You see how she's twisting that? And we want to act like this person is going to fight for the working class? Is that what we really believe, people?
Yeah, and the other thing I realized that like I can't follow people. Like I tried to go follow Wyatt, and it says, "Oh, you can't follow." So and I also have my DMs off, and I tried to change that to have my DMs open, but because I'm restricted, if somebody wants a comment from me, they have to follow me, and I have to follow them back. I can't follow them back, and I can't even respond. So if like some news organization wants to run a comment from me, I can't.
Look at what this shit is doing here.
These motherfuckers.
Look at this shit here.
So that's what that is. So
let's go to some. I hate to go to the comments because you think we're harsh because we got 800 comments right now. So let's shit. This
someone
is about to be one.
Burner account. Yeah, I do have a burner account, and that's private. So.
I'm gonna find some other responses to this, but go ahead, CJ.
Yeah. But I do want people to know you also provided this great content.
Yeah.
So there we go.
Let's play it. It's less. It's about only a minute. So let's play it.
Do more on climate. We could do more on lowering prescription drug costs. We could do more on gun control. We could do more with regard to the Black agenda. We can do more.
Congressman, you're a hypocrite because you are funding neo-Nazis in Ukraine. They are wearing the Black Sun symbol, the same symbol that the Buffalo shooter used, the same symbol that the person who almost killed the vice president in Argentina used.
Thank you so much.
You say you want to advance the Black cause, but you are funding the same people who kill in the name of white supremacy.
This is the foundation. This is the foundation of our democracy, freedom of speech.
You choose to fund Nazis.
Stick around and I will have a conversation with you right after the end, but let me get to the conclusion. Stick around. I promise. I got you. The foundation of our democracy is freedom of speech.
You see the strategy? I told you guys. Remember when we covered this, BJ? Remember when we covered this? And AOC did the same thing. They would say, "Hey, why are you doing it right now? That's rude. Call me out right now. Let's talk about it afterwards." No, motherfucker, we talk about it right now. And you know that they do the same strategy. You think that's on the fly? You think they Jamal Bowman and AOC so similar? They just thought the same tactic on the fly? No, this is trained to them.
This is trained. They know when they do these town halls in their community, they know they're going to get people and they can't turn them away. They've been trained how to respond, to de-escalate, and always don't say anything bad about what they're saying. I'm going to talk to you later. That gives the masses of people watching that, oh, look, that person was mad. They're going to talk to him. Look at them helping people when they're really just going to tell you. What did they tell you? What did he tell you, Jose? Now listen to this, everybody. What did he tell you when you met with him afterwards?
So first of all, it took like 30 minutes from the point when he finished the town hall, because at that point he was already finishing up. And that's why I stood up, by the way, because this was another case where he said, okay, we're going to take questions, but the questions, again, were pre-written. You had to write your question down beforehand. And so I was like, okay, I'm just going to wait till they get to Q&A. And if you listen to the town hall alone, it's just him and Hakeem Jeffries talking about how great congressmen they are. And they never got to question. Yeah. You like, I'm telling you, just go watch.
Are there districts like right next to each other?
No, Jeffries is Brooklyn, and he's Bethel Road and New Rochelle, Hastings on Hudson. Yeah, I guess they're both New York congressmen, but and so then when Bowman said, okay, we're gonna go to conclusions, I was like, what the fuck? Where's the question? So I just like, I got into it. I was like, all right, well, I gotta stand up and do this now. So I did it. At the point when he said he'll talk to me, I was like, okay. I sit down. They bring me a water, and like, you know, he was shaking hands for like about half an hour. And I was just there, and like, I guess they were hoping
they're trying to wait you out. He's trying to wait you out is what he's trying to do.
I wasn't. Yeah. So then he came up to me. He's like, what was? I tried to shake his hand, like, you know, and I even said to him, like, hey, listen, you know, I thought there'd be questions. I thought I didn't have to get your attention this way. Sorry about that. And he's like, what's going on here? Where are you from? I'm like, well, I'm from the South Bronx.
Oh, you doing a good imitation. That sounded like him a little bit. That sounded like him a little bit. Go ahead.
I said, well, I'm from the South Bronx. He said, well, you're not even my constituent.
Oh, what? What did he say?
Yeah, you know.
Wow.
Wow. And so he said, you know, and if you know my work, you know I do good things. You know, you didn't have to yell at me like that. You could have pulled me to the side. No, afterward, you know, and we could have talked about this one-on-one. I said, well, listen, we're talking now. What are we going to do about this issue of Ukraine and the Nazis in Ukraine? And then he said verbatim, he said, we're going to do the work. We're going to continue to do the work that we're doing. We're going to continue to do what we're doing on the work we're doing. That's what he said. And
now do you guys see why Jamal Bowman wanted to have that conversation in secret instead of doing it in front of people? Imagine how bad that clip would have been if Jamal Bowman said that in front of all those people. I know there are a lot of bootleggers, but a lot of those people probably start booing that motherfucker after that.
Yeah, I actually have a report that somebody sent me, an activist in Mount Vernon, which is Jamal Bowman's district. So this person actually said, so this is a report. I'm getting a secondhand report from the activist. They said a contact who is around more or less left circles in Mount Vernon said in passing last night that the intervention of Jose, who he described as a heckler, against Jamal Bowman is continuing to be a topic in the local media. He said Bowman has been asked in different venues about his non-response to the charge made against him by a heckler. And in some instances, Bowman just says, well, he didn't respond because the heckler was not from his district. That didn't seem to get the response he wanted. So the issue lingers of why he didn't and couldn't respond. On WBAI, it came up in an interview, and Bowman went more into detail about his support for freedom of speech. He still didn't respond to the question, but postured about how much he supported freedom of speech and how you occasionally have to put up with hecklers. So, you know, that's Bowman for you.
These motherfuckers are trained by the Democratic Party to perfection. They got a whole manual on how to handle interruptions at your town hall. Hey, wait. First, they appeal to civility. They hope the bootlickers and security guard gets you out of there. Then they say, wait. We believe in freedom of speech. I'm glad that you guys they virtue signaling now. Then they say, let's talk to the side. They give the illusion that they care about the personal conversations. Then they wait you out. Trying to see how much you really want it. How much you really want it, Jose. Then Jose really want it. Like, fuck, the motherfucker's still here. Then at that point, they're like, yeah, fuck off. We're going to do what we're going to do. And now no one's paying attention. Now it's an hour after the event. No one's there. Not a lot of people there.
Right. That's why they want to talk to you. That's why they want to talk to you afterwards. Go ahead, Jose.
Yeah, you're right. Everybody was gone pretty much by the point that now, though, what was interesting, and this is like the reason why people should speak up, is because the room was full of like older people. It was like senior citizens, right? And in the interim between him shaking hands and people leaving, some people came up to me in the back and said, you know, I didn't know that. I didn't know that we were funding, Nazis in Ukraine. And I even had a councilwoman come up to me and said, I heard about this, but I really wasn't sure.
Bruh, I told you guys. I told
clowns.
you guys.
We have clowns in office. Do you hear what he just said? A councilwoman is like, I heard something about that. We have clowns in office. Okay.
Dude,
but let me explain this. Go ahead. No, let me go. You make your point because I got a different point.
Yeah, I'm about to say this is why it's so important, because we are the most propagandized country. When I watch so many of these corporate news segments on Ukraine, they never mention we're funding Nazis or the background into it. So these things can be the gateway so people can know, right? And to that council person, to the people in the audience that didn't know this, that's by design. And that's why AOC wants to pull you aside. Jamal Bowman don't want you to call them out. They don't make statements about it because they want to keep their supporters uninformed. They don't even want this conversation to come up. But CJ, go ahead. I'll pass it to you.
Yeah, so what I wanted to address not my constituent.
Yeah.
And we as leftists need to have a comeback for this, because he is. All the people in the district did was the people who decided to have this person go represent them nationally. Everything he's doing is national money. That's our money. So we can't come and critique. We can't come and talk, and we can make demands because your decision making is off of our money. Not specifically just the money from the people in your district, because they couldn't fund nothing by themselves. It's collective.
And they vote on.
You are a national representative. That means nationally, everybody has the right, because you are taking money out of everybody's pocket to send to the Ukraine. So don't let them get away with that. Not my constituent. Really? Because you're using federal tax dollars to do everything you're doing. Go ahead if you wanted to chime in, Nick, or what was that?
Yeah, that's what they vote on issues of national importance. You're a congressperson who vote on national bills, you fucking clown. And they say that because they rely on dumb supporters. They know the people with discipline. They know the people who understand how government works. They know the people who gives a fuck not gonna like them. The role in the strategy of politicians to appeal to as many normies as possible, keep them uneducated, keep them as dumb as possible, and then who cares if the activists are calling us out? It's a numbers game, baby. As long as we got people vote for us, it's all good.
Well, of course, yeah. I mean, and hell, nuclear war affects us all. It's not like it's only going to affect his district, right? It's going to affect the whole country, and I mean, I actually reached out to Bowman's office before. It's not like, you see, like all these people, I've tried to go the traditional route with them. I actually spoke with Bowman's energy advisor because I had this proposition for the Bronx. I still do. It's called the Space CCC, the Space Civilian Conservation Corps. You guys know about Khalif Browder. I don't need to go through that, right? He died after he left prison. He should not have been there. You guys know this. What led to that suicide? Because it's like, what is there really in the Bronx? What is there? What kind of hope and optimism is there in the Bronx? There is very little. There's a reason, because these places have been abandoned. Okay, and there's
no hope in the Bronx. But AOC represents there. What?
Well,
you mean that the AOC is not delivering shit? Or is it just like when Crowley was there? Like, are you serious? Because nationwide, if you read Jacobin, she fucking doing the damn thing. She Malcolm X Jr. She's Malcolm X's offspring, if you didn't know. Like, if you read Jacobin, like, that's who she is. But you're telling me the Bronx is sort of in the same condition, Jose?
Of course, yeah. No, and like that's why people wake up and then they see the world's getting shit. Even people who don't know anything about politics, right? If you're just a normal Bronx citizen, you're 24 years old, right? You finish school. What the fuck is there? What is life? What does it mean to even be living? The world is on the you hear that the world is on the edge of a World War III, right? The economy goes to shit. Nothing is working. No wonder people are depressed as hell these days, right? And the Bronx has just like been one of these places been forgotten about, like Compton, like Detroit, right? These places have been. And so I have this idea of like a Roosevelt-style CCC program where you can reindustrialize, you can rebuild portions. You take a federally, you take a federal program. You take anybody between the ages of 18 and 26, man or woman, and you say, listen, you didn't go to college. That's okay. You did go to college. Great. Maybe you had like a non-violent offense. Fine. You come to this program for 2 years. You get training in modern day engineering. You get training in modern day carpentry. Maybe you get training in how to be like a nurse. You get training in emergency repairs because housing is collapsing. Our infrastructure is collapsing. We need people who can build and rebuild our infrastructure right now. And as you're getting training, we will pay you to do that. And the way you're going to pay us back is for 2 years after, you're going to go to your community and you're going to build a hospital. You're going to build the schools. You're going to build the housing and you're going to rebuild it. And we're going to pay you and your family for those 2 years while you're doing it. Think about it. Now, 4 years have gone by. This person who came to the program has engineering skills, carpentry skills, has the ability to plan out, make infrastructure projects. They could start their own company if they wanted to. They could work for an established company. And you could even have people still stay onto the program and build maglev trains, because that is what an economy should be about. It's not about money. It's about people. And I wanted to start this program in the Bronx because it should be these people who get first hands at training for this program. And that's called the Space CCC, Space Civilian Construction Corps. So
I was just going to interject and ask, what's the name of the organization you were a part of again?
It's the LaRouche organization. We also have the Schiller Institute, which is what's doing a conference on this Saturday, theschillerinstitute.com. People can watch it live there. We've done a lot on the Ukrainian war. In fact, I think Wyatt was talking about the Ukrainian blacklist.
Yeah.
And the Ukrainian kill list. The CCD put out 70 or so names, the Center for Countering Disinformation Ukraine. I believe the first 30 or so speakers are people who've spoken at our Schiller Institute conferences. And number one is Helga Zepp-LaRouche, who is the founder of the Schiller Institute. So, you know, if
that's
people
awesome.
Go ahead. What my politics are, that's my politics. People can bring up my old tweets. I've always been that. That's who I am. You know?
I don't put stock in that shit, but
Sure.
Are you telling me that constituents in the Bronx are not motivated, their lives are not improved by AOC tweeting about January 6th?
Or wearing a fucking white dress, you know, that says tax the rich.
I thought that January 6th trial was going to be something that was super important that her constituents. Are you telling me that's not doing anything for them?
No.
They're not impressed for that she's standing up against the Trump mob. That's not doing anything. And by the way, and you can speak on this because you was actually there, but there's a lot of commentary like, yo, look at the fucking crowd. Look at the crowd. Guys, you guys audiences and crowds. I was at quite a few of them. At the park in New York. Say whatever you want about Bernie, but those audiences was incredible. AOC, a handful of senior citizens. No AOC support. I see a lot of people asking this question now. How much is their online support actual turf? Yeah. How many of these people are ops? How many of her followers is fake? Because think about it, if AOC giving a town hall, people like, we don't give a fuck about that shit. Because they know the media signs, they're class loyal. The liberals that you see right now defending AOC, they are class loyal. That do not represent the people in the Bronx. They're not out here. People are not out here defending politicians. They're not sick of fans of these ruling class politicians that everyone know have failed us.
Yeah.
So I didn't it all, but go ahead, Jose.
That's why, 2024, I'm going to run against Richie Torres as an independent. No, not a Democrat, not a Republican. Richie Torres is my congressman of the South Bronx, He's a fucking idiot like the rest of these people. He gets so much money from Israel.
Yeah,
he denies any kind of
Palestinian.
Terrible. He denies any kind of Palestinian genocide going on. He's done jack shit for the residents here. And when the Bronx had a really bad fire that killed 17 people, his solution was like, oh, great, let's just install smart thermometers so that if it gets too hot, okay, we can send out a signal to HPD, Housing and Preservation Development, so they can do something. Or if it gets too cold, it's fucking stupid because like, oh, great, you put a smart thermometer. Great. So if it gets too cold, HPD is just going to get more stacks of reports that they already aren't answering. The issue is not that people aren't reporting, they have no heat in their buildings. It's that nothing is being done. And this guy's solution is to do, well, I gave you a thermostat to tell you.
And he's a progressive, right? Isn't he considered to be a progressive or something like that?
Is he? Is he?
I thought he was. I thought they asked him for, about reparations or defund the police. He said something about against, and the progressive. I thought somebody presented him that way. Maybe I'm wrong, but to the point of both of your more recent in-person protests with Jamal Bowman and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, let's talk about the substance of what you said. Now, this article is from World Socialist website. We're just going to read a little bit. And Eric London, by the way, Nick, just started following us today. I noticed that. I was like, hey, because I read a lot of his articles online. Jamal Bowman, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, and the DSA's long record of military support for Israel. Now, this is dated not quite a year old.
They haven't got better.
Yeah. but let's just listen. Just read maybe 3 paragraphs here, because it briefly talks about the long history of DSA, but Jamal Bowman and AOC. Specifically, last week's decision by the Democratic Socialists of America, DSA, National Political Committee, NPC, not to expel New York Democratic Congressman and DSA member Jamal Bowman does not mark a break from DSA tradition. On the contrary, it marks a continuation of the organization's long history of support for U.S. imperialism's military aid to Israel. For over 50 years, the DSA and its predecessor organization, the DSAO-C, have served as a faction of the capitalist foreign policy establishment, providing pseudo-humanitarian justification for American imperialism machines abroad, with particular support for Israel's military funding. Bowman's vote to support billions in funding for the Israel military, Ocasio-Cortez vote of present, as well as Bowman's participation in propaganda visit, boost the right-wing government of Prime Minister Bennett are the outgrowth of his history. And then it kind of goes into it, but it's speaking to the Iron Dome and the funding of Israel and the votes from both of these two so-called progressive. I'll pass it to you now.
And the progressive propagandists, the professional managerial class sheep herders of the Democratic Party, their job is to convince you that these are just small disagreements. We voted for the Iron Dome. Yeah, we voted to arm Taiwan and escalate World War III in China. Yeah, we arming Nazis in Ukraine. Man, why are you guys complaining, man? It's only a small disagreement. We support Medicare for all, though.
Go ahead, Jose. You were going to chime in.
No, I think it shows that these people are so impotent. When I mean these people, I mean the squad. They are impotent in their ability to get anything done. They maybe at one point, like I said earlier, maybe they wanted to do something, and they said, "Let me play the game a little bit. Let me do some votes for them. Let me try not to compromise myself. Oh, okay, I got to compromise myself a little bit in order to get what I want. Okay, fine." And then guess what? You're 10 terms in or 10 years in, you've ruined the country, and you're like, at what point can I do the change that I thought I would set out to do? And I think that the Israel thing is a real litmus test, because that right there should tell you immediately, is somebody worth their salt? Are you willing? Because I know that Israel gives a lot of money to politicians.
Yeah, that's exactly what I said.
Right,
exactly right.
Right, Richie Torres gets like googops of money from Israel. He's like their number one spokesman in Congress. He's always advocating for more weapons for them and more money for them. So, how the fuck you don't represent Israel? You represent United States, man. Where's the that's the thing also about like the thing I said against Bowman. It's like, where's the $50 billion for the Bronx? Right? That's where is the $50 billion for the Bronx? Where's the $50 billion for Compton? Where's the fucking $50 billion for Detroit?
Right.
You know, where's the $500 billion for the people of the United States, not for the banks? Because we can print out trillions of dollars for banks, right? Rather than just let them collapse, which is fucking stupid, right? But we can't afford to pay people's medical bills or student. I don't want to hear it. And that's why, like, Nina Turner, who's been so mum on this war, annoys me, because she's another one who swears she might do something, but then it's like, well,
they're never going to do anything. The only thing they're going to do is which is in the confines of what they're allowed to do, and what they're not allowed to do is go against Israel or the war machine at all. And that's why, you know, AOC had to do that fake crying she did on the House floor when she had to switch her no vote to present. Switching her no vote to present. You understand that Israel doesn't even want why would they her specifically? Because she's being groomed to be the next Nancy Pelosi. So, but why do they have to have her not say no? Why? Because they can't even have the veneer of the person who's going to be groomed to be Nancy Pelosi as going against Israel at all. And so she has to pretend like, oh, this is hurting me to do this vote. Is it hurting you, or is it hurting the Palestinians that we see that's getting brutalized and murdered and killed every single day? Now, I bring this article up, Jose and Nick. Jacobin attempts to resurrect image of pro-war Ocasio-Cortez DSA. This was earlier a couple of months ago. Same author, Eric London. On May 26, Jacobin's Lizzie Featherstone published an article claiming that Democratic congressperson Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez was helping to inspire a socialist movement against corporate power by endorsing the Democratic Socialist slate of 13 candidates for the New York State office. In an article titled "AOC is endorsing the full slate of New York Democratic Socialist state candidates," Featherstone writes, quote, "AOC's endorsement reflected solidarity with NYC DSA platform and movement against the forces of capitalism and reaction both inside and outside the Democratic Party," end quote. The article is a public relations ploy aimed at resurrecting Ocasio-Cortez and the DSA's failing image as socialists. Votes like this is causing the image of her being seen as a socialist to fade away. But let me continue. Ocasio-Cortez and many official DSA accounts tweeted the Jacobin article almost immediately upon publication. At this point, the claim that anything AOC and the DSA do is against the forces of capitalism and reaction is a downright embarrassment. And then it goes into like how she voted to send $40 billion in aid to Ukraine and so on and so on. So we're talking about the substance of your critique of her, and they're telling you all these other things that have no relation to replying to the substance. So far, have you heard any reply about AOC of the substance of what you said about her vote? Did you hear her say anything in reply to her vote as you were speaking?
No. No.
Yeah.
No.
Did she say like it's complicated or something like to that effect or something like that? No,
she might have said something afterwards after I got kicked out. Mostly what she was saying to me was just, "You're being rude. We could take it up at the end. Let's calm down," you know. And no, she did not talk anything about that. And
right.
You know,
it's like so you're concerned about nuclear war. Just get in line behind the guy who has a problem with the tree. You know, just get behind that. That's what they want you to think. Like civility politics is doing. Yeah. No, motherfucker, you are talking about nuclear war. Yeah. That's what you're talking about. So no, this should be at the top of the line. Go ahead.
Think about this. The only time she ever addressed this was in a tweet thread responding to Mehdi Hassan. Isn't that think about this? Think about what this symbolizes. She planted her flag. You got activists on one side calling her out. Then you had corporate media millionaires that are all for the Ukraine proxy war like Mediasan is. He's a big Russiagator as well.
Yeah.
AOC's like, this is my side. So instead of addressing the activists, instead of siding with activists and addressing the concerns of the left when it comes to funding Nazis in Ukraine, she's like, nah, I'm gonna stick with the Mediasan boutique left millionaire club. That's her club. Do you guys see it? RBN, this is why we were the channel that said view everything through class lens. There are people that want us to think these class traders are our friends.
Right.
They chose their side. Let me pull it up again, because I know we got some new people that probably missed it. I'm gonna just quickly go over it again. And I have one more story. I don't know how you're doing on time, Jose. I got one more Ukraine related story. But look, this is her side. Like, I look at her Twitter because I was like, is there anything breaking? Anything new? No, she moved on. The only thing she tweeted about on this issue was in response to her friend, the millionaire Mediasan. And he's attacking the activist without addressing what he says. Then AOC says some bullshit.
Of course.
And I'm almost at 400 likes here. I said, are you going to address the criticism? That my first. No, they're not. Because they can't. But Jose, I know you want to chime in. Any last thoughts on this? And then I want to move on to a Ukraine-related story that's on topic. But go ahead, Jose.
And then do I have to go, or like, is this?
You can stick around if you want. We gonna wrap up around 4:30. I know JB and Sabby is going live today. So maybe 4:30, 4:45. CJ.
Oh, you guys Central Time?
No, he's talking about Central, not
Central.
Eastern. Yeah, Eastern.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, my bad.
He's like, wait a minute, that's what time it is right now. What you talking about?
Well, I guess I'd love to stay on, but I do have to get off in like a few minutes. So I guess I'll just make these.
Any final words?
Yeah. Let's give your. Yeah. But before you do that,
Yes.
we want you and your activist friends to be part of the activist summit. These are the people we want to showcase. So we have an activist summit. If you haven't heard, it's coming up October 22nd and 23rd. It's Saturday and Sunday. It's a streaming event. We're streaming for maybe 8 to 10 hours or something like that each day. So at some point, we'll have like a discussion about something, maybe bring you on, just talking about your activism, talking about your organization, something like that. So I'm just putting that out there, putting you out in public, asking you to make sure that we can get you to show up. But
when is it?
What say you? It's October 22nd and 23rd. It's not this weekend, but the weekend, not this upcoming weekend, but the following weekend after that. It'll be similar like this, like a streaming event, and we're just bringing it together. Activists. We'll send you the details offline. I don't want to,
Okay, yeah.
I know you got time. Yeah, I'll send you the details offline. But go ahead. Your closing remarks, your closing thoughts on this, and any shout outs you want to give.
Okay.
Before you go.
First of all, I think everybody should just stand up and do what I did. Don't be afraid to just speak the truth. Right now, the only thing on the table should be nuclear war. We can talk about our politics afterwards. We can talk about capitalism versus socialism afterwards. Ain't gonna be no capitalism or socialism if you're in a fucking nuclear irradiated wasteland, first of all. Secondly, I do want to give a shout out. There's a conference happening this Saturday, and I'll be a speaker at it. It's a Schiller Institute conference. You can find the link on my Twitter. It's actually the second tweet I put after my intervention. And I do just want to address one more thing. I want to thank you guys for having me on, even though I said I'm a LaRouche in the beginning, and that does spark a lot of controversy. And somebody did ask, explain what that is, because I understand people have heard lots of different things. It's a complicated thing. LaRouche has been around since the 70s. He died in 2018. Overall, it is the belief that every human being is not a belief, excuse me, the core principles of the organization and what we've been organizing around is, do you believe that every human being is created equal and has the ability to use their creativity to make the world a better place? If that's the case, then what kind of society do you need that will better foster the ability for people to live, to have 3 meals a day, to have a roof over their heads, and the ability to educate themselves and to make discoveries, scientific discoveries, that'll make life better for generations to come? And the way we do that is we say an economy is physical. It's not about capitalism or socialism. It's about how educated are your people, how well-fed are they, and how healthy are they, and are they able to make life better for 50 years after they're dead? And what role does culture play into that? And what role does science play into that? And if people want to know more, check us out on the conference.
Yeah, I seen a few. Like, I saw this super chat not too long ago. talking about the Schiller Institute and LaRouche. I know.
I know all about LaRouche. Yeah, I know all about that. Yeah,
actually not. Yeah, I gotta learn more about like their ideology. But let me instill some revolutionary discipline into you guys. What the fuck does that matter? Considering the context of our conversation, we brought. This is the shit I'm talking about. We brought on Jose.
They don't have focus. That's what we're here for. We're here to instill revolutionary focus and
I already see the pro-war AOC fans doing. I don't know if the person like this comment AOC fan or not. I don't want to accuse you of doing this, but I already see it. People distracted. Like, oh my god, look at the beliefs on this, belief on that. So are we gonna organize a fucking revolution? Or are we gonna line every single person up and say, do you agree with me on every single issue or not? We are trying to stop a nuclear war. We're trying to stop this insane U.S. Western funding of Nazis and NATO domination of Black indigenous people. Yes, that's the next story I'm going to cover. The NATO domination that they are trying to put on Africa. We are forming a coalition to raise awareness about the issue. Anything else does not matter. Anything else does not matter for that coalition.
Right.
Are we clear? And I'm tired of the left being so unserious about this.
Yeah. Exactly.
You have to explain to me, to be honest, because we can talk about it another time.
Yeah, because we know about it. Like like where Mars is here, we know all about who he is and all of that stuff. We know about the Institute, so that wasn't surprising. I mean, when you said it, you saw we didn't have any surprise looks. We just went on and kept talking. Maybe I didn't even notice the comment but let me say this. There's one enemy. One. That's it. And that enemy is the ruling class capital. I mean, it's all many different words that kind of bundles them all together. Imperialism, all this stuff. But that's the one enemy, okay? That's who we have to stop. So any other disagreements, ideology, that's fine. We can hash that out after we beat the one enemy. How about we do that? How about we beat the one enemy, then we hash out all the other differences that we are aware of.
Motherfuckers. There would be a bigger disagreement. Jose came on here like, yo, I'm a Biden supporter. Then I was like, well, okay, you supporting the oppression of our communities. You guys are okay with teaming up and talking to Democrats. You guys are 100% okay with that. And I am too, to show you guys intellectual consistency. We had conversations on this show with people who voted for Joe Biden. And my personal belief is if you vote for Joe Biden, that's disgusting. I think that's disgusting. But I had conversations with people who voted for Joe Biden anyway, because that is what revolutionary discipline is about. Well, you guys, what pisses me off, the progressive fucking hypocrites, they say, oh, you can't talk about this guy because he liked this post on Twitter. He said this thing on Facebook. He made this post on Instagram that disagrees with our narrative. Then you guys will vote for fucking Amy Klobuchar, Jim Crow Joe, and the worst politicians in the world. Where are the consistency?
It's unserious. It's completely unserious. Jose,
go ahead.
I don't know if he had to go. He was trying to chime in. I know if he had to check out.
I just want to say this. Listen, like there was an interview. Somebody's going to interview me on the thing with Bowman, and then I was like, well, yeah, no, I'm a staffer for Diane Sayre. She's a LaRouche candidate, and she said, well, can we leave the LaRouche part? I was like, no, that's who I am, and we don't have to even talk. LaRouche doesn't have to come up. It
doesn't have to come up.
Why are you more afraid to talk about LaRouche than you are to talk about nuclear war or Nazis in Ukraine? Like, you're more afraid of that than the fact that there are literal Nazis being funded by the U.S. Congress. You want to talk about that? Let's talk about LaRouche afterwards. But right now, it doesn't matter what you believe. And frankly, like, it's the reason why I've been able to talk to so many people who are Trump supporters, who are communists. There's like this thing called MAGA communism, which I don't understand at all, but they seem to also
don't worry. Yeah, but I know, but they seem to, yes, I do. There's some overlapping there. I do hear you, brother.
Yeah, so it's like that's all it is. It's all peace and love at the end of the day. I love you guys, and I hope we can continue to have discussions and debates. And there's one guy I'd love to bring on. His name's name's Dennis Speed. He used to be a Black Panther. He's been around with the movement since the 70s. And he's really cool too. I think you guys would enjoy having him on. We could talk about all that afterwards. But
absolutely.
Thank you for sticking there with us, Jose. Good to hear from you, and keep up the good work.
All right, y'all. I gotta go. Thank you.
All right. So we have quite a bit of super chats. I'm gonna get through them, but I want to do this.
I didn't even notice that. You must have been marking them. I haven't seen one.
We got quite a bit, so don't worry, guys. I'm gonna read the super chats. We gotta make sure we wrap up before JB and Sabby. We got another about 45 minutes, right? So I want to do one story that had in the bin for a while. Shouldn't take too long.
Let me just do a shout out.
Go ahead.
This also helps me when the editing, when I clip them. So when I see this video, I know to cut it right there. So like this video, we have over 600 people watching. I mean, I'm gonna have a little more to say about AOC. I want you to do your story, but more of a closing remarks about AOC.
It'll be related, so
it's more closing remarks about AOC and more broadly the professional managerial class. So I do want you to stick around. Just to give you a heads up on that. We have 589 likes. Can we push to over 600 since we got 600 people? Also join our Substack if you want to get notifications for streams just like the one you're watching right now. And then lastly but not least, before I pass it, where did I go? Back to you. This graphic here I didn't show you earlier, but AOC stands in shambles. I'm wondering, Nick, what are all these people's content gonna look like? Are they gonna concentrate on the Tulsi Gabbard? Look at this Tulsi Gabbard supporter.
Yep.
Without talking about AOC, that's what's probably gonna happen. But go ahead, Nick. Back.
Yeah, and personally, I do think that was a misstep, man. We gotta separate politicians from these critiques. Now people, you like this? Keep politicians out.
I did think that too. I was gonna say that to him. I did think he shouldn't have said that Tulsi part because that gave them an out. Just imagine Ahmedi's tweet without the Tulsi part. Being able to say that part, it would have no teeth. So now all the liberals who are trained, Tulsi, she's on Fox News. She just says Democrats bad Tulsi. Anybody who knows her, bad them too. Like that's sort of the thinking of these mindless like drones that just follow the blue coat. Go ahead, Nick.
Once again, this is related to our story because there's so much to talk about AOC stands because I haven't gone through all the responses. I have people literally while we're live, like, have you seen the man tweet? Have you seen what this person sent? I mean, it's like literally right now, people send me this stuff. So it's wow, the reaction is still going live. But I see someone left a comment that they're like, did someone hear what Kyle said about it? I see some people saying Kuklinski. So I haven't seen it yet, but I already seen a lot of people saying that the professional.
Let me change the graphic already. Then I'm gonna change the graphic and put the one.
So let me do this segment real quick. It should only be like a 10-minute segment, right? To explain our position on the Ukraine funding, the position that the Black left has. If you look at Black Alliance for Peace, if you look at Murray Kimberly, if you look at RBN, if you look at all the people with radical revolutionary discipline, the Uhuru Black Socialist movement that was smeared and attacked by the FBI. We are resisting the expansion of NATO because we was the only channel, because the white left won't do this. We was the only channel explaining to you guys the history of NATO and colonialism in Africa. So I'm asking all the media signs, all the AOCs, all the white progressives, I am asking you this question straight up. Why should any Black person or any person from the global South or any leftist support NATO? Especially when NATO's entire mandate was to be a check on Soviet Union and left socialist movements. They instilled a reign of terror in Africa. When you look at the U.S. in AFRICOM, when you look at the United States bombing Africa, why should us as Black leftists support the Western cause? I am asking you guys this question. For all the people that, Nick is a Putin puppet. I don't care about Putin. I am asking you guys this question. Where's the Russian colonial flags in Africa? Do you guys notice something? The same people that is waging this war, this proxy war against Russia, that now want to wage war against China, these are the same exact Western colonial powers that ran the Atlantic slave trade, that carved up Africa in the 1900s. Do you guys see the pattern? The countries that destroyed the South America, indigenous people in South America, Black people in Africa, these are the same people that try to instill full spectrum dominance on the world in Africa, and many global South countries had enough. This is what TYT won't tell you. This is what Media Sound won't tell you. This is what MSNBC won't tell you. They say the world is against Putin. No, the fuck it's not. They don't even have 40% of the population. When you look at BRICS, Brazil, South Africa, China, India, that's over half of the world population. When you look at Africa, they are not going along with the proxy war. So I'm gonna quickly go through some headlines. Once again, I think I did enough prefacing because I don't want this segment to be too long. But
I mean, India and China alone is like billions of people, like India and China alone, and then you add Africa.
If you guys want to laugh, look at how corporate media has been coping with the fact that I just explained with you guys. So they've been ignoring it, especially on the big main coverage. When you look at corporate news, they don't talk about it. I found one segment where they acknowledge it. But look at this. Ukraine appeals to African leaders. Moscow has been winning the propaganda war across the continent. How many times have you guys heard that? Every once in a while, you will find an article where they admit this. Here's another one. They're talking about how did the global South politics and non-alignment and solidarity explain South Africa's position on Ukraine? You had, and once again, I'm asking you guys this question. As Black people, when we hear the message that's coming from Ukraine, that's coming from Zelensky, why should we sign with them? Here's President Zelensky. He urged African countries not to stay neutral and silent on ongoing Russian missile strikes across the country.
What? He said that?
I'm gonna urge you. Best you guys play ball, okay? You guys see the gangster mafia style position they have on Africa. I'm gonna show you guys another one. Here it is that I didn't have up. Here's the other one, the other receipt. Then I'm gonna show you guys a segment in corporate media. One of the few I've ever seen. That's why I saved it, because corporate media have been avoiding mentioning this. So if you guys want to pay attention and notice, look at all the leftists that are going along with the Ukraine proxy war. TYT, Cenk Uygur, David Pacman, Voss.
I bet they're all the same ones in that same tweet.
Dylan
with Mehdi
Burns.
Hassan today. I bet they're all retweeting that shit.
Kyle Kalinske says like the Iraq invasion. All the people, they're all white. Do you guys see why we started RBN? And you guys see why we covered the Black Agenda Report coverage on Ukraine? Because until recently, the voice of the Black left has been completely left out of these conversations. Just a few years ago, you guys will get nothing but pro-war Nazi Ukraine shit. Now, this is Ukraine. Sends a message to Africa. So, Foreign Ministry, Dmitry Kuleba demands the continent's leaders ditch their neutrality. Who the fuck do you think you're talking to? These Ukrainian Nazis said, Africa, we demand you ditch your neutrality. Who the fuck do y'all fucking think y'all? CJ, you already know.
I bet the African country people reacted just like that. Who the fuck do you think they talking?
So
I bet that's how they reacted to.
Yeah, CJ, so I get your take, and then I'll move on to the video, and then my
yeah, go ahead.
Anything you want to move on to the next part?
Yeah, no, go ahead to the next part. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I actually I told you guys, I've been doing this thing because in order to be a better political commentator and content creator, I wanted to watch the news of our enemies. Don't watch corporate news to get news. You watch corporate news to see what the neocons are saying. I watch corporate news to see what the capitalists are saying. I don't watch it to be informed. I got my other sources. We watch it so we see what our enemies are saying. So when I watch corporate news, I've noticed they don't mention this. When you watch corporate news, they always say stuff like, the world stands with Ukraine. Vladimir Putin made a misstep because the global world sees him as an insane dictator. No, motherfucker, they see you bombing bridges.
Making up stuff.
Bro, African leaders said, bro, do you guys see this? Do you guys see this fucking terrorist attack? So, by the way, the Western media, we got propaganda here. That is not in other countries. In Africa, in South America, they're like, yo, you guys see this terrorist attack they're doing on the Crimea Bridge? You guys see this shit's crazy. Fuck that shit. That is the reality you're getting everywhere else except the West, because in the West, you're the most propagandized country in the world. So let me get in a clip because I want to make this segment shorter. So I think I time-stamped that at a good spot. But this entire interview, oh yeah, I got this mic now, so I don't have to play stupid muting games now. Big shout out to my boy who sent me this mic. So this entire segment is unhinged, by the way. But I just for the sake of time, I clipped it to this guy's last point where they actually asked him about Africa. And when I was watching this, I was actually like, whoa, I can't believe she asked him the question. So let's hear his response. And this is one of the few times you see the corporate media actually acknowledge this giant Africa problem that the Ukraine proxy war has. So let's get into it.
We want to protect cities. If we do that, we will know that everything is safe in our backs, and we will move further forward.
You've been in Africa. You're trying to get support from the continent. You're cutting short your trip to go back to deal with this crisis. Africa and many other parts of the world, the global South, as you know better than I do, have not joined the sanctions against Russia, have been susceptible to Vladimir Putin's narrative, particularly on the food poverty. Even the head of the African Union, repeated what President Putin said about.
So look at the racist tropes that they play off on Africa all the time. They do the same thing with the Belt and Road Initiative, by the way. They say, oh, these dumb black Africans being tricked by the smarter Caucasian. This is the trope they always play. If the African countries do not go along with the West, we are dumb African monkeys who were tricked by the smarter Russian and Asian leaders. So they were saying the reason why Africa are concerned, they raised a concern about the food shortages. You see how she brought that up? It's not because they care about the people, it's because they've fallen for the narrative of Putin. What? You know where he's telling the fucking truth? Where he say you guys are trying to destroy the global working class with these sanctions? But anything Putin says is just propaganda. But anyway, let me let this clip continue.
It's the war, it's Ukraine that is holding up grain, even though there are no sanctions against that. Have you had, especially in light of what just happened, anything that makes you feel that Africa or other countries that are reluctant might back you more now?
Yes, but we need to talk more with them. I can tell you one story just to give you a glimpse of the situation here. The narrative.
I can't hear nothing.
Oh, sorry, my bad. Once again,
I was like, wait. I was like, wait, what the hell?
Sorry, my bad.
So everything you said there, repeat, because I didn't hear any of it.
Sorry, my bad. I told you guys I'm getting used to this new mic. My bad. So I want to show you guys, because this is the Ukrainian foreign minister. That's the title I forgot earlier. And I'm playing only this short bit of this interview, but throughout the whole course of this interview, this guy was unhinged. Pretty much begging for escalation against Russia, saying, no, Ukraine should never accept peace deals. We need more weapons. We need war. That was this guy this entire interview. But I'll let it continue. You guys can hear their mindset regarding Africa. They don't care about African people. They don't care about the food shortages. They don't care about the consequences. They just want to expand NATO and continue the Ukraine money laundering scheme.
That Russia helps Africa a lot is quite widespread here across the continent. And when you make it the point that Russia is not even close on the list of investors or providers of humanitarian aid to Africa, and the biggest investment it made in Africa is the Wagner mercenaries, that changes the optics. And that makes people think. But we have to talk with them, we have to convince them, and we have to tell the truth about it. So it will take time, but I'm sure that they will be changing positions.
So let me translate that in case you guys missed what he was saying. He was saying, well, Africa need to realize that you guys are getting a lot of help from the West. So we need to have a conversation and make them realize why they need to take our side. Do you guys understand? That's why they're opposing you guys. They're tired of you guys demanding that they side with the unhinged Western imperial actions of the UK, US, and NATO, and stop withholding aid as a result. So a lot of African countries realize that China will build in their country without bankrupting them, without the IMF, and at the same time, China won't demand them to take their side, or they will pull out their economic agreements. So what they were saying, this whole statement was like, hey, shouldn't the West pull our aid from Africa? And then he gets the problem wrong. My last point, I'll pass you, CJ, and we can wrap this segment. He gets an objection wrong. The African countries are asking themselves this question: why should we side with the West after what you guys have done to us? When you look at Russia and China, shouldn't we side with them? That what BRICS is. That what South Africa is breaking away from the West, because they asked them that question. Look at what AFCOM has done. Look at Biden bombing Somalia right now. Look at the regime change. Look at the West and the United States destroying Libya. Look at what they did. Look, it's so crazy. So now Africa knows what's best for themselves. So I want to show you guys that segment because it gives you an idea how we're going to cover this, how Black Agenda Report is going to cover this, and how all Black anti-war activists have been covering this. It's just the white Western chauvinists. I mean, the people who will admit, people like Vosh admit they are Western chauvinists and they support NATO. So what side are you on? Are you with Black Agenda Report? Are you with African activists? Are you with RBN? Are you with Vosh? Are you with TYT? Are you with Mehdi Hassan on this? So CJ, last thoughts, and we can wrap up after your last thoughts. Check your audio.
This is connected. This is really a true realignment that's happening right before our eyes. It's a true realignment. Just think about just 5 or 6 years ago, these same people we were all friends with behind Bernie Sanders. But it is a clear where they're like, we're hitching our shit to the Democratic Party and we're riding this shit out right here. Bye. So they're literally having to change who they are, what they believe in, change what a socialist is. This is literally what has to happen for them to do that. And I think we covered an article before, and it was about how Jacobin and DSA type people are moving to the right, have to move to the right in order to stay relevant, to stay at the kids' table. Let me throw just the head. Is this it right here? Yeah, this is the headline. Democratic Socialists of America confront left-wing opposition to Biden by shifting to the right. And there's a particular part, Nick, that I want to read to you and everybody. So I could let me read the first paragraph and then I'll tell you what the other part is because I'm not sure if I can find the other part. So the Democratic Socialists of America is preparing to move further to the right as the Biden administration and the democratically controlled Congress unabashedly prosecutes the interests of Wall Street and American imperialism and reject even the paltriest proposals for social reform. Now, this article goes into how they openly talk about there's no position they're willing to stand that strong on if it means being put out of the good graces of the Democratic Party.
What the fuck?
Yes. Here it goes right here. Here it goes.
I remember covering this, but it's still,
it's crazy.
It's still jarring, but go ahead.
So, to bring the growing chasm between the DSA myth and the Democratic reality, the DSA leadership is maneuvering to the right, calling for an end to any political principle that might marginalize the DSA from the Democratic Party establishment. Prominent DSA figures are praising even conservative Democrats like Chuck Schumer and New York Governor Kathy Hochul, however you say it. DSA-linked politicians are abandoning slogans that were associated with mass demonstrations against the Trump administration, including abolish ICE and defund the police. And then it goes on into it. But just think about this part right here. They're saying they're calling for an end to any political principle that might marginalize the DSA from the Democratic Party establishment. And that's what we're seeing with the squad, with Jabal Bowman, with AOC. That's what we're seeing. They're not standing strong on any policy. And then we have these people in this graphic right here who just follow along with what the progressive establishment says and say that's the new line that makes us left. Nick, think about it. You are now leftist if you are voting to fund Israel and NATO. You are a leftist in America.
Dude, the PSYOP has been insane. Have you guys noticed what's been happening? I explained this concept quite a few times on RBN. Even Trump just recently at a rally said, maybe we should talk about negotiations and peace deals. You had
Yes.
Marjorie Taylor Greene that was questioning the Ukraine money laundering scheme. And I explained this before. I don't give these people any credit. I do not believe these people. They are serving, they're playing their role in the PSYOP. So think about it, in the political theater that they want to project to people who are left of center left, or even moderate liberals, right? You have Marjorie Taylor Greene, Donald Trump, Matt Gaetz, they are the bad guys. Rand Paul, they are the bad guys. AOC, Bernie Sanders, Mehdi Hasan, they're the good guys. So then they get the good guys to support the Ukraine proxy war. And this is why I told you I don't give Marjorie Taylor Greene or Trump or any of these MAGA motherfuckers any benefit of doubt. Their job is to be the counter argument, to play the role of the Putin sympathizer. Mm-hmm. So then real anti-war activists who speak out against the Ukraine proxy war, then the dumbass normies be like, oh, look at Social CMA, look at RBN. You guys got the same position as Marjorie Taylor Greene. Why aren't you guys listening? Well, look what Bernie said. Bernie, you guys see their job is to play almost like the referee of the Overton window. They're the checkpoint, I should say, probably for lack of better. They're the checkpoint. They're as far as acceptable by the mainstream, and they are there to be the gauge. You don't cross this point. You don't talk about Julian Assange. You don't speak about the Ukraine proxy war funding. You don't speak about the genocide that the United States are funding. They are there as the gauge, and a lot of people who worship the squad and Bernie, they follow along with it. I know there's a lot of people who like Bernie and AOC. Just for example, they go along with the Ukraine proxy war. They don't speak up on Julian Assange. Hell, some people like TYT and Vosh, they would smear Julian Assange, because by smearing Julian Assange, it gives a pass to the politicians they like that do not support it. And we're explaining to you guys these psychological concepts on why we cannot hero worship, we cannot support the Democratic Party, because they watered down our movements, right? CJ, anything else you want to add? We also got super.
We got super chats, yeah. I just want to can you just tell me what did you hear that Kyle said? And I didn't hear AOC.
I haven't seen it, so I want to be careful.
Oh, you haven't seen it? Okay.
Yeah, I just saw some comments that was like, "Yo, you guys see what Kyle said?" So just because I gotta be careful because we got a platform, I'll wait to see what he said. I don't want to assume anything.
So there might be another video talking about the reaction, because I'm sure they're gonna do a video. So I can tell you tomorrow, this is gonna be part of the topic tomorrow. I can tell you that.
So even if
Kyle
even if Kyle didn't say anything, the dude said Kyle redirected to Tulsi. Of course, I told you, man. This is what they're gonna do. That's why that was a misstep. I don't want to judge too harshly because I love the action that he did, but I do think that was a misstep because he gave these people an out now. Instead of just being hardcore on the fact and don't give it any wiggle room. But I'm telling you guys, anyone who redirects this to Tulsi, anyone who bring up their history, they are frauds. They are trying to distract from the conversation, and that is counter-revolutionary.
Right.
And,
so if I
go ahead.
No, go ahead. I'm not going to give an example.
I was going to say, I'm gonna wait and I'll make sure we do our due diligence. But definitely CJ have no chill. We definitely gonna do something. Like you already know, there's gonna be a wave of every single progressive media outlet gonna come out with a cringe video.
We gonna be all right.
Hey,
we gonna be all right. 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 We gonna be all right.
I don't give a fuck about World War III. Nigga, I got a bunker. I don't give a fuck.
I remember when you first showed this video, man, we was laughing for a good 5 minutes. Like, I could not stop laughing. This shit was so hilarious. But this is what progressives are saying. We gonna be all right. She's voting for NATO. We gonna be all right. She's abstaining from making a stance on Iron Dome. We gonna be all right. She's sending money over to Israel. We gonna be all right. That's what we're gonna be doing. We gonna be all right.
And the funny thing, what made this video so great is that she posted this voluntarily after she lost the election, and then I watched it. I was like, "Are you serious? Do you guys not realize?" And it's still up. And we got to hold her accountable. She's not allowed to delete this tweet now because she voluntarily posted that cringe ass shit that exposes
that was so funny
how they really don't have skin in the game, and then. It wasn't ratio. There was a ton of professional managerial class like, yeah, we're going to be all right. Yeah, man, I was like, are you guys real? No, bro, go to
It's
the tweet.
the disconnection. It's so. I'm laughing because it's such a disconnection that is funny. It's such a disconnection.
DJ,
from
if you
real
ever bored,
pain.
look at it, read the tweet thread because some of those cringe comments are still up with the professional managerial class. Yeah, Nina. And I think we the only place that ever covered it because I was like, this is the most absurd post-election. Like people are like, especially at that point, like we had the homelessness crisis that was escalating.
Yeah,
it's still bad now, but guys, especially then, the anger.
Ooh.
And then she was posting videos like, this shit don't really matter, bro. It don't matter.
Oh man,
Yeah,
I never laughed
yeah.
so hard that time for that video. I never
was
laughed
funny,
so
man.
hard for that video, man. But we can go to super chats. I mean, I have more to say, but we really are running out of time. We really are running.
super
Like
chats,
I got more.
like to
We had to
keep
do
going.
another video.
Yeah, we definitely probably gonna do another segment.
We got to do another video.
So make sure you guys check out the Sabi and JB show coming up next in 30 minutes approximately. We're gonna read super chats, maybe stick around for another 10-15 minutes, give you guys a little chance to take a breather. But JB and Sabi, my favorite show that come on weekly. Love that show. It's a lighthearted version of RBN. It was a pretty fun show, but we talked about some depressing shit in Ukraine. But it's always fun to you can't have and this is what Cornel West said himself. You need to have revolution with joy. We need to have fun. We need to laugh sometimes while learning, right? So anyway, let's get some super chats. This is one of the first comments I saw that was hinting.
Oh, sorry, I hit. I was writing my own comment, but go ahead.
Yeah, that was one of the first comments that hinted towards Cal's cringe video that we didn't have a chance. Like if JB and Sabi wasn't live next, we probably
we would go on. Yeah,
we just saved it for another segment. It's not going anywhere. So thank you for the 199 Bucky fan. Thank you for the $5. Join the International Youth Conference hosted by the Schiller Institute. Link in comments. I think that might be one of his friends. Part of their
I think he probably helped shout it out. Yeah.
Yeah. So appreciate the $5. Thank you for the super chat. Thank you for the $5. Large Marge sent me. When someone
Large Marge from Pee Wee Herman's Big Adventure. Large Marge is from Pee Wee Herman's Big Adventure. Go ahead.
What a powerful screen name. When someone doesn't have a foreign policy campaign page or defers to leadership, that is a huge red flag, and that's something that RBN, something I've been advocating for strongly. Do not allow the professional managerial clowns to convince you that foreign policy is not important. Think about all the people who sold us out. Foreign policy is the tell. If you waver on foreign policy, that shows that you're going to waver on other stuff. So people like John Fetterman threw Palestinians under the bus, and then he progressed. I'm going to give you guys an example. He progressed to say, oh, well, he has to do that because you got to get elected. Motherfucker, okay, what happens in re-election? What happens for re-election? So he got elected selling out Palestinians, so then he got to sell out Palestinians in order to get re-elected. So, sorry, man, I had to vote for another Israel package because we got an election coming up in 2028. Right? Every 6 years. So you gotta see that's how the selling out starts. So when people are weak on foreign policy, that's the tell. That's the biggest tell. And that's something I learned myself. Because I remember, like, I've always been strict in foreign policy, but when I had less revolutionary discipline, I gave Bernie and AOC a pass, and I should not have done that. Like I heard about the Yugoslavia war.
That's because you were listening to white media at the time.
Yeah, I didn't have the
fine for them. Yeah, you
I'll
didn't have it for them, and they're all fine with it. And you notice the people in that Mehdi Hassan, whoever's pushing back and bringing up Tosi, ask yourself this question when you're watching their content. Anybody who's pushing back against what Jose did, anybody, you ask them what's their stance on Ukraine. Ask them what's their stance on Ukraine.
Yes.
Ask them. And ask them if they support what the Democrats and we have to do this, and then you'll find out why it's aligned. It's almost Jose's attack on AOC is an attack on the Majority Report, is an attack on TYT, is an attack on Jank. You see what you're a progressive socialist, and he's attacking it. That's why they're gonna find a reason. Mehdi Hassan too. He took it personally. All these let me just call them reformists, these professional managerial class like people, these Jacobin DSA. It's an attack on them. We just read you the articles where DSA has been doing this for a long time, this war push. Go ahead, Nick, with the super chats.
Yeah, let's get to, thank you for the $5. Oh, yeah, thank you for the $5. Large March sent me. Great comment. Thank you for $5. Isabel Jimenez. If they are only going to answer to constituents, then they should only ask constituents for campaign donations. I said that on another segment before as well. That's obvious response. They take your money, but then you ask them questions. Now your constituents, you fucking grifters.
And it's Isabel Jimenez. Isabel Jimenez. Thank you
sorry,
for
guys. I'm a Midwestern.
Yeah. Only because I live in California, I know a lot of Spanish pronunciation. So Isabel Jimenez, thank you.
Thank you, Bernard, for the $10. Jose is a good man and gives AOC the benefit of the doubt that they began with good intentions. I lean more towards what Dr. McKinney told Sabby a while ago. I don't think she will ever ours. Read the next super chat. That's because I won't bring up this tweet from Glenn. Glenn Greenwald had a great.
Yeah, absolutely.
Read this one. I'm gonna find it though, because it was
okay. Also from Isaiah Madrigal. I hope I'm saying that right. I know I know where I'll be this weekend. The International Youth Conference hosted by the Schiller Institute will have speakers from Haiti, France, Africa to speak about the change that's necessary. I think that's
I found my receipt,
second or third one.
Yeah,
thank you for that super chat. I can go to the next one if you're still looking for it.
Yeah, I found the receipt. Let me. I was going to read this just because it's very on the topic. This is Glenn response to Jose, which is on point. Probably one of the better takes. AOC in 2020. We all saw the before and after videos, right? We played them plenty of times.
Yeah.
In 2020, she said in response to people criticizing Antifa activists, which is Antifa activists' base, what do you guys think you gotta do to have the revolution, you fucks? So just by the way, just to let you guys know where we stand. Right. And I'm gonna talk to a MAGA communist dude here soon. And MAGA communists hate Antifa. How are you gonna have this revolution if you dislike the tactics that Antifa uses? That's the question I want to ask you people. But anyway, let me continue, because a lot of people was asking AOC about that. In 2020, she said the whole point of protesting is to make people uncomfortable. Now, she said, I won't answer you being rude.
How many likes that guy? How many likes does Glenn have?
That's about 8,000. He always put numbers. He always put, and then he pulled a tweet. He like, this you? He like,
oh, he doing that? He calling her out like that?
And the first one I see, the whole point of protesting is to make people uncomfortable. December 2020. To the folks who complain about protest demands make others uncomfortable. That's the point. Hey, AOC 2020 versus AOC 2022.
Yeah, I know.
Anyway, I won't move on just because of time. But I just want to show Glenn. I love Glenn's take on that. Where did I leave off? Oh, this is a base contribution. I appreciate it, Landrew. Appreciate the generous $100 super chat. The truth isn't always easy to hear. RBN be telling the truth. I don't know why I added that. RBN telling the truth about the cowards, how we supported with work and dollars. Nuclear war is not survivable. And RBN is here to bust that civility politics bubble.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Boy, people are not used to this shit, man. And I love it.
Yeah, they're like, wait, what? You AOC is the left. AOC is like, that's getting them off the mix. What are you talking about? Yeah, like this is what I said to Bree. I was like, and if RBN was never here, they would never know the critiques about Marianne Williamson. They would never know the critiques about David Sirota. They would never know the critiques about AOC. They'd just be kind of like, hey, yeah, everybody, yeah, AOC, she's okay. But you know what I mean? But we're like, nah, that's not that at all. Shit, no, not at all. So, but thank you, Landra, I think.
Yeah, they go back to white fragility. A lot of people they are very uncomfortable. When I tell people, and the message I get from white liberals when I tweet this stuff is always hilarious, always documented and laugh with friends, right? Where I'll be like, yo, if you vote for Joe Biden, you vote for the Democratic Party, you're enabling white supremacy. These motherfuckers be melting down because they're not used to black people telling them that. They are used to being the white saviors. Like, hey, yo, we stand for black people because we vote for Kamala Harris. We're going to vote for Jim Crow Joe, so we stand for black. And then RBN was like, no, motherfucker, you are enabling white supremacy. And their response was, block. And it comes fair in when I said that shit, block. All these motherfuckers like, no, we ain't that shit hard.
I put out another tweet. You tell me how supporting the Democratic Party is not reactionary. How is this was gonna be the video. If this AOC thing didn't drop today, that was my content today. How is that not reactionary? You're supporting a party that wants the status quo, that want no movement, no progress, no $15 minimum wage, none of that, no defund the police. We're funding the police. That's a reactionary party. How are progressives supporting a reactionary party? Makes no sense. Go ahead, Nick.
Yeah, that was the last super chat. No one for Isaiah shouting out his group. They're doing good work. Thank you for the $5. But that's all the super chats. Thank you guys for your support. I apologize if I missed any. But I'll try to get to all the ones I saw. CJ, anything you want to say? Any last words? Remember, Savvy and JB show is scheduled for 25 minutes at 5 p.m. Central Time, 6 p.m. Eastern Time. Thursday is always a great day at RBN. We got a lot of great content that hits on Thursday. A lot of great guests.
Thursday's my favorite day of the week, actually, too. Basketball will be on national TV. And also just shouting out, I don't know if you know this, but Chuck Modi, who's actually a sports writer, he's going to be doing a show with me on here.
I'm hyped for
a
that.
Sports show called NBA on RBN. So make sure you stay.
Because I got a lot of people I got a lot of friends that watch basketball. They probably watch that shit.
Yeah, so I'm gonna talk to him today. I gotta meet, set up a time to talk to him today, but probably do a show this weekend, and I may do a show with my wife. So it might be a CJ and Tiffany. That's her name, Tiffany. CJ and Tiffany show this weekend. She doesn't have necessarily the same politics as mine. She's more Tulsi Gabbard kind of politics, maybe. So, but anyway, it is what it is. This will be the closing video. This is David Sirota saying, I'm not ready to give up on AOC and the squad. And it's like, when is it going to happen? They're voting for NATO. When are we ready to say the squad is not fighting for us? When are we ready to do that? Nick, anything else?
I have nothing else. Just make sure you guys tune into Nick and Sabby and JB show. And if you guys enjoy the content, support us on Patreon. Help us grow our activist summit. We got a lot of people. There's a lot of things that we're working on. It's gonna be a lit event next weekend. So that's all I have. Thanks for watching, guys.
Yeah, so we're gonna end here. David Sirota taking us out. Where's it at? Where's David at? Oh, here's the tab.
And let's use AOC as an example. Okay, if AOC does not, and the squad does not use their leverage to force a floor vote or try to force a floor vote, I'm not prepared to say that means that they don't believe in Medicare for all or that they're sellouts. I'm not prepared to. The evidence is overwhelmingly against that. That they may disagree with the tactic, and I may disagree with them for their position on the tactic on not forcing a Medicare for all vote. But I'm not willing to say, nor do I believe that means that they don't want to pass Medicare for all or aren't willing to fight as hard as possible for Medicare for all. It could just be that they have a different theory of change. And when you take a strategic difference and try to broaden it to be a difference of values, if you don't have evidence that is rational and logical to do that, what you're doing is you're undermining people who are really on your side and who are trying to do the right thing.